nothing's going to substantially completely change in terms of, we're not going to jump from where we are now to something that can, think and act for itself. We'll see if I'm proved wrong, but I'm pretty firmly a believer in that. So I think that we're just going to see much better chatbots and much better image generation. One thing that hopefully we'll see soon is more grounding in real data. So, when you can see this on Bing already. If you use Bing, it does a kind of web search and then injects that into its own prompt to try and give you better informed information. Now that sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. But I think that grounding the output is a good idea, because at the moment you're just getting a kind of amalgamation of training data which might be out of date. Right, or it could be incorrect.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I see that the industry's kind of moved on a bit since we spoke as well. I think last time we spoke about 2023 outlook, and it's good. It's interesting to see what's happening now in 2024. In the old days, you had to get like a PhD. I had to be like you if I wanted to use AI. But these days, I can use APIs. So it's like we've got the users using like the front end on ChatGPT. That's one opportunity perhaps to create thumbnails. And then you've got like the developers who could use the APIs. And then you've got like the hardcore stats guys, math guys, people with PhDs like yourself. It seems like there's like three groups now, and there's a lot of opportunities in each of those.
There's opportunities everywhere. Yes, you're absolutely right. So if you take, one of the terms that gets used a lot is these kind of foundation models, which is a model that is incredibly large. It's been trained basically by resources that most people don't have access to, so big tech companies. And you can deploy these models on subtasks without too much expertise, right? So for a good example is the segment anything model, is a model where you point it at an image and it will just start picking out objects. Now, actually segmenting objects for many years has been a really difficult problem, but you can use this as part of your pipeline. You don't really have to know how the AI works to be able to use this tool. It's just run it in Python. It produces you some objects, and then you can decide which of those objects you want. Let's suppose you're writing a web app that, let's say picks people out of an image. You can use the segment anything model and then just tell it to find people, and it'll go off and do that. And you don't have to know how the network actually segments the people. Yeah. You're just using the polygons that come out.
So in other words, there's a huge opportunity now where it's open to a wider community of people who perhaps are not hardcore AI guys, but they can leverage the power of AI just by interfacing with the APIs.
Yeah. So these companies are exposing these models via APIs that you can then, you can make use of. And, we see a lot of companies doing this. Many of these tech startups are essentially a wrapper around, let's say, ChatGPT's API and trying to use it in a clever way. To an extent, there are risks doing this because, of course, you don't know exactly you don't control ChatGPT. You don't know how long it will be online for, and these kind of things. But on the other hand, it gives you access to models that you couldn't otherwise have trained and you couldn't otherwise have actually done yourself, because maybe you didn't have the expertise, you didn't have the resources. And so I think that it is lowering the barrier to entry for a lot of people.
Yeah, so rather than me trying to get like crazy data sets, because that seems to be the biggest problem, right? Getting the data and then like the GPUs and all the power to run this. And obviously the expertise like yourself, I can just leverage an API and I've got it.
Yeah, it's difficult to overstate the number of resources needed to train ChatGPT, right? First of all, you need massive amounts of internet data in the order of trillions probably of tokens, right? At the very least, high numbers of billions. And then, so that in itself is a data nightmare. But then you've also got, the hundreds or thousands of GPUs across hundreds of machines that train the model in a distributed fashion, all the infrastructure to do with this. No need to do all that, just sign up, get your API token and off you go, right? And then you can talk to this thing and you can tell it what to do.